Shaitanir Rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to our program. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We are now on the 26th day of the holy month of Ramadan. There are now only 4 days remaining of this holy month, the best month of the year. But with these 4 days, there's still great opportunity. There's still 4 days where, just like that, you can make a change. You can change overnight in these 4 days. It is very recommended. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did treat the odd nights of the month. Tonight is the 27th. Put extra importance on that. So tonight, try to put some extra emphasis, realizing that there are only 4 days left. Whatever problem you have, whatever thing you need, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can help you in these last 4 days. After this month, if you didn't reset, like your computer, if you have a problem with it, starts to buffer, becomes slow, what do? You reset it. You take out the plug, you put it back in. So the month of Ramadan is that reset button, that whatever you did throughout the whole year, good or bad, whether you sinned a lot, whether you were, however you were, now is your second chance. So in order to take that second chance, you have to try to fully recognize that there are only 4 days left. 26 days have already gone by. 26 days of opportunity are now close to you. What you did in those days are now written in the records and they're kept. You'll see them on the Day of Judgment. But with these last 4 days, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ put a huge importance on the last 10 days of Ramadan. And now we see the last 4 days. They would always do, extra, try to do extra on the last 10 days. So here we have the last 4 days, soon to be the last 3 days. And what are we doing? Are we trying to make the most out of this time, or are we not paying attention to it? If we're not paying attention to it, then we have to see that there's a problem. If we don't try to reset ourselves, we don't try to redo what just happened, try to erase our sins from the previous months, then we may never be able to do it. As we know, there are different diseases. There's different types of diseases. There's diabetes, there's cancer, there's kidney problems. There's different types of diseases that affect different things. Of course, there's heart diseases. Now, what happens? With these diseases, if you're in risk of getting these diseases, the doctor gives you a few things that could prevent you from having these diseases. As they look beforehand, they look ahead, and they say, you're in risk of getting this disease. These are the things, or just generally, these are the things you do to try and prevent it, to try, make sure that doesn't happen. What do they tell you? They tell you to eat healthy. They tell you to, exercise, physical exercise, very important. And by doing these things will help you to try to stay clear of that. These things will give you a higher chance of you not getting that disease, compared to you going the way you're going and going right down that lane of all these diseases and all these problems. And as we know, as soon as one problem happens, 5 follow it. So in order to not get in that area, they prescribe this upon you. They give you a little medicine. They give you something to do. They say this will prevent what's about to inevitably happen for you right now. Of course, there's 2 types of diseases. There's the disease of the body. There's the disease of our physical body, that your leg could be hurting. It could start small. You have a pain in your leg. You have a pain in your arm. Pretty soon it turns into something big. And then there's the disease of the soul, the disease of the heart. Imam Ali alayhi salam has said, the disease of the heart is worse than the disease of the body. The disease of the heart is worse than the disease of the body. What are the examples of this? Now, we see, as we know, the heart gets dirtier than the body. When you want to clean your body, what do? You have a shower. You use soap, you use shampoo, you clean your hair, you clean your hands, you clean all around yourself, and then you're clean. Put on some perfume, you're ready to go. But people don't realize, they don't take care of the other part. They don't see the other part, that your soul, that it's slowly dying away. It's slowly becoming harder as time goes on. Think of it as like a garden. Say you just bought a new house. And with that new house came a beautiful garden. You didn't make the garden. With that beautiful house, there was a beautiful garden outside. And the garden had everything. The garden had, it had oranges, it had, a lemon tree, it had different plants, it had roses, it had different flowers, beautiful garden. And at first you like that garden. You say, wow, that's a good garden. I really like that garden. You go outside every day. But eventually, as time goes on, you start to forget about the garden. You start to forget to water it. You don't water it at all. Pretty soon, what was so beautiful and now starts to die down. It now starts to, now half of it's gone. To the point where there's almost nothing left. Everything is gone. Everything has died down. The flowers are gone. The lemons are black. Now, eventually, because you didn't, this is what happens because you didn't water it. Now, of course, eventually there will be rain. Sometimes rain comes down. The rain does come down, waters stuff. But that's only stalling the inevitable. When the rain comes and waters the plant, stalling the inevitable. You can take this as the people who go to the masjid during Ramadan, and they just go to the masjid during Ramadan, and they skip the rest of the 11 months. Or the people who go only for Muharram. They miss the other 11 months. Now this can be an example. You can see this as why it's necessary to do the entire month. You have to constantly be taking care of your physical body, just like you take care of, your spiritual body. You have to take care of both of them. It's not just, of course, Muhammad also says about cleanliness, keeping yourself clean. He doesn't just mean physical, he means also on the inside, making sure your heart doesn't become hard, that you're always aware of your duties. Now, the Ahlul Bayt have said that the Shia were created. The Ahlul Bayt have said that we, the Shia, the Shia were created from their remaining soil. What does this mean? It means, for example, we see that example of what they said, that we were, created from their remaining soil. We see that the human beings, they were given, part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's soul. We were given, He breathed part of Him. So we have all of these things. So when we're born, we come in that pure state. We come in that pure state of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that fitrah, the love of the Ahlul Bayt. We are pure. We want to become closer to Him. Now, how does this go down? This goes down by not watering. This goes down by you yourself harming it, by choosing not to do it, choosing not to take care of it. Because as we see with our physical body, we take care of it. But what happens if you don't take care of your physical body? That's when you start to get diseases. That's when you start to, everything goes down. You're overall, you're prone to getting all of these diseases. So we see that the people who, the people also have the love for the Quran. Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam says that the Quran is like the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says that we should read at least 50 verses a day. And why? Because the Quran gives that much. The Quran is a guide. The Quran is one of those things that will help prevent the problem that you have. That if you have a problem and your heart is slowly becoming cold, you're slowly going on that wrong side, the Quran is one of the things that will slow that and will help you get to the right side. Now with 4 days left of the month of Ramadan, if you want to restart it right now, you can. If you want to do it right now, you can. If you wait till after the month of Ramadan and you do it, it's going to take you a lot longer because the shaitan will be able to stop you. But the month of Ramadan is a month where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells everyone, reset in this month. You committed sins, you weren't on the right path, reset so that tomorrow you can be better. Tomorrow you can do better than you did yesterday. Now, if we look at the examples of the Ahlul Bayt, like I said, that we had, we were made from the remaining soil. But that's basically where, similarities end. compare it to like you and a famous scholar. You follow the scholar, you listen to his lectures, you like what he says, you love what he says, but you don't care about it. You don't implement what he says. They're just words. You hear what he says, you say, that was a good lecture, but you don't care about doing any of those things he says. You're the same thing, to the point where, even though he's saying things you like, he's saying the same goals. The only similarities between you and him, let's say the only similarities are, your blue shirt that you wore 3 years ago. Like I saw he had a blue shirt in that video. I got a blue shirt now. That's as close as you're going to get. The same thing with Ahlul Bayt. Unfortunately, most people, they have that connection with Ahlul Bayt that we're humans. They have that connection that they're humans, we're humans. We must be pretty close. But that's where the similarity comes to a harsh close, just of the physical body. The thing apart, of course, is the soul. The thing that brings people apart, it's not their physical bodies, but it's their soul and how they take care of it. If they make sure to water it every day, they make sure to take care of it every day. They make sure not only of their duties, but beyond that. Of course, if you have a shower every day, if you do exercise so that your body, you can feel good, why don't you do what else you're required? Why don't you read your namaz every day? Why don't you try to read it on time? If you do everything, you can't be happy unless you do everything. The people have money, you can have millions and billions of dollars, but they won't be happy. You can have no money, and you can be happy. You can have $0 and 0 cents, and you can still be happy. It depends on the way you think of it. We realize our duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we have that connection, we try to make that connection with the Ahlul Bayt, with the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the best of examples, the people He wants us to follow. There's the people that we want to follow, and then there's the people Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to follow. There's the thing the creation wants, and there's the thing the Creator wants. You have to follow what the Creator wants. And that's the only way, following these things, that's how we'll be able to make a difference. That's how we'll be able to make the most out of not only the last 4 days of Ramadan, but our lives. That thinking that we realize that we need to make changes. If we think that we're perfect, we do nothing wrong, 100% fine, A-okay over here, you'll never want to change. So that's the problem a lot of people have, is they don't repent, they don't ask for forgiveness, because they don't feel like what they did was wrong. Even the most common of things, they'll be like, that wasn't even that bad. People commit murder every day, why is mine bad? Or, yeah, I robbed something, well, who cares? So, and it's not just of those severe examples. I'm talking about robbery and, it's not just about those. It's about the little things. You tell a lie, you're like, it was a little lie. Why does it matter? It's from the little that the big are able to come. So, we talking about, the difference between, the Ahlul Bayt and us. That gap. Trying to close that gap. But this starts with relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a baby is first born, they rely on 100% on their mother, to give them food. They rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they have that, they're pure. But as baby starts to get older, he starts to get exposed to the fire. Slowly but surely, if he doesn't take care of what he has, if he doesn't, or he doesn't take care of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted him, once something that was so pure becomes nothing but darkness, then now it's too late for him. The doors of repentance are always open. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always wants us to come back up until, we die, up until the day of judgment. But the problem is that once we get to that state, once we keep constantly ruining our hearts, we won't be able to do that. Our hearts will become dead. You see people walking around. You see different people. You go outside, you see, you go to these crowded cities and you see thousands of people walking by. Not right now. I hope not. But, okay, let's just say a normal day, you see a lot of people walking by. You see all these people. You say, oh, they're alive. They're alive on the outside. But a lot of people, they're inside, they're dead. Inside, they're like zombies walking around. They don't have that feeling. They've lost all feeling. They've lost the ability to come back. Why? Because over the years, they've kept killing it. It's like somebody drinks, there's some poison, and you drink it on purpose. You think, they drink the poison on purpose. Knowing that they're drinking it. We know that we're not doing enough. We tell ourselves we're not doing enough, but yet we don't stop it. You could tell yourself on the 1st of Ramadan, this month's going to be big. And then by the 10th of Ramadan, you're like, once Ramadan's over, let's see how I do. 4 days left, best month of the year. There's still time. In one night, just tonight, just right now, you can turn everything around. So in order to make sure to take full advantage of that. So I was mentioning how a baby has full reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has full reliance on his mother to bring him food and everything. That's how we should rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, there's two ways of talking about this. First of all, we have to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we need something, we should ask Him. If we have a problem, we should ask Him. But we should not blind reliance. Or maybe reliance isn't the best word. But what I mean by that is, you can't have the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bailout plan, let's go. You sin all day, you don't do anything in the month of Ramadan, you don't do anything normally, you're not even, not doing anything good, and then you don't even try. After doing all of those things, you say, Ya Allah, please help me, and please save me, bring me to heaven, Ameen. And you're done. You don't try for it, you just think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will save you, all merciful. You don't have to do anything, and you get to go to heaven. That's the wrong thinking. But of course, there are examples of, the right reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we know, Bibi Maryam, she would be, I think it was in a synagogue or a chapel. She'd be locked in a room all day. And her, nobody would really go to her room. And Prophet Zechariah, one day he walked by, and he went in. Whenever he would go in a room, you'd always see her with a tray full of fruits. You'd always see her with a lot of, fruits and food. And, he asked her, he said, where'd you get all this? And she said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she was just in her room, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down food. So do we even have that type of trust? Do we realistically have that? There's so many people who they trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until it really matters. In times of ease, you're like, yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, number one, He's always helped me. But when things are hard, you're like, now I have to, I. The most common problem of why people aren't able to repent is the thing of ego. Me, I. If somebody does something, I did that. Unless if it's something bad, then you did that. You. But if it was something good, getting the praise, I did that. So the problem is they're not able to do that because they think everything that happened was because of them. If you do a good deed, I did that good deed. Yes, I donated to charity. Thank you very much. I used about $130. It was a lot of money. Thank you. There's no humbleness. They don't have that, thing that is required upon you in order to truly be successful. They don't have that thinking. They have the other way, which is I did everything, like that. So dependence on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very important. But unfortunately, what happens today is people put their trust in other people. If you need something, then you trust your friend Yusuf. You trust Yusuf to go get it. You're like, he'll get it for me. You don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you ask this guy. When you need something, you ask other people. You go to these, secondary sources, these third sources, instead of going to the one Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in order to fully be able to unlock the full benefit, we have to realize who we have our faith in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we read our namaz, that so much He wants us to come back. He gives us so many chances, the month of Ramadan, that He gives you so much sawab for one day. He says, I'll let you turn around in one day. You just have to do it. You can restart everything in one day. Just do it. But people, they still don't see. They still are unable to do that. Can you imagine, a king? What happens with the kings? Like let's say the Queen of England. Let's say there's some other king, not in this world, so I don't copyright. Let's say there's a very powerful king, and the king, or maybe even the president, the king invites you over for, Does the king try to go out of his way to make you his guest? Usually that's not what happened. Usually you try to go out of your way to, help him. You put on a nice shirt. Well, I've never seen the king, but if I did see the king, this is probably what I would do. Well, there's no king. Okay, yeah. So try to do your, let's just say you'd be taking very good care of it. You would be, really shocked. You'd be like stiff, trying to, show respect. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the King of Kings. He's a king of all. He's the creator of everything. So why, when we read in our namaz, are we speeding through? Why that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful, that with a king you may want to watch what you say and not to get in trouble, but you wouldn't speed by. You'd be like, listen, to be honest, Your Highness, I gotta go. I have better things to do than sit here and eat food with you. So if you don't mind, you wouldn't say that to him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the King of Kings. When He's over there, when we're in our prayer, we are praying to Him. So everything that we do, the way we read our namaz, we should have that in mind. And a lot of people I see, when they go to read their namaz, they have a dirty shirt on, they don't smell very good, you didn't brush your teeth, you go read your namaz. Right? You go in that state, that, you got to read your namaz, so let me go read. But that's not what we should be doing. What we should be doing is, before we read our namaz, try to put on a clean shirt. Try to be clean. Try to, put on some perfume if you can. Try to, brush your teeth. Very important. We have to treat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like the King of Kings. Why are we treating Him like He's our everyday, like He's, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, is our friend, but why are we treating Him with respect? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful, so generous, it's like we're taking advantage of it. That He's giving us this much and we're still not caring. In order to change everything, that's one of the things we have to do. We have to have that fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to have that dependence. We have to realize with our namaz, with the basics that we have. It's not just about the advanced stuff. It's not just about reading, all the 10 advanced dua, everything. I read half of the Quran every day. You have to work on the basics. And the basics are trying to perfect your Quran, trying to perfect your namaz, trying to affect, the basic things, the easy things for us. Because it's only through the easy things, it's only through perfecting those and making those better that we're able to do the hard stuff. Some people, when they read namaz-e-shab, they wake up, they miss their namaz, then they read namaz-e-shab. And one cancels out the other, right? I woke up for namaz-e-shab, I miss my maghrib and isha, they cancel each other out. But how can you do something that's mustahab and skip something that's wajib? That's like you owe somebody something. You borrowed money from somebody. Say you borrowed $100. And you owe this guy $100, right? But instead of giving the man the $100 that you owed him, instead you buy him a cake. So here's your cake. You say this cake was actually $75. So if we can cut the cost, give me, this cake is better. You don't want your money. I already got this cake. It's too late. Are they going to be happy, or are they going to want their money? They're going to want their money, of course. They're not going to say, you can't do that you're giving somebody something instead of what you owe them. So in order to realize, we have to treat our namaz, we have to treat the way we read our Quran, the way we understand the Quran. We have to treat it a different way. We have to treat it like this is The Quran is a walking, talking, book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to treat it like the Imams and the Prophets are guides upon us. We have to treat it, we are the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, there's a certain way to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not just your basic, I don't want to, make fun or anything. So you have to just we have to find out about these things. We have to learn about these things, research about these things, so that we're able to perfect our prayers. Some people, they're not able to do those prayers. They're not able to have that connection. And the whole month of Ramadan is passed, but they still haven't been able to do that because their computer is freezing. Their computer is breaking down. It's stuck on the same screen. You can't move it anywhere, but they're not restarting it. They're saying, it'll turn back on. It'll turn back on. It doesn't turn back on. My iPad, it froze a few days ago. And I'm wondering, what just happened? It just froze out of, And I'm trying to fix it. And, you click the restart button, you restart the iPad. And then all of a sudden it's back to normal. Why did it freeze? So this happens that you could be perfectly fine. And all of a sudden, Shaitan comes to you with something. And you just have to know that we have to be able to see that whispers of Shaitan. Eventually, when you have that connection, when you've been dodging Shaitan, you've been dodging him for so long, you'll be able to have that connection. You read your Fajr, you'll be able to hear it. You'll be able to hear the voice in your head that says, go to sleep, another 5 minutes. Namaz will still be here in 5 minutes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be here in 5 minutes. Just go to sleep a little bit, recharge. That's the thinking that brings us down. Those are the people who in the first 15 days of the month of Ramadan, they said, I'll do something the last 15 days. Those are the people on the 20th of Ramadan, they say, I'll do something the last 5 days. There's the people on the last 2 days, they'll say, I'll do it on the last day. You keep doing it till you put it off. You keep doing that so you don't have to do it at all. Now, if we're unable to take care of this month, if we're unable to take full advantage of this month, it's going to be very hard in the coming months to try and recover from that. If you dug yourself a hole, if you, say you use a crane, one of those digging machines. I'm not sure why I don't remember what it was called. The digging machine, you have a huge thing of dirt. I'll pick up a huge thing of dirt, put it down. Eventually you have let's say you have a 10 feet deep hole, or a 12-foot deep hole. It's very deep. And you dug yourself in there. And then, once you're done with that, you're in the hole, and then you say, oh, well, tomorrow, I guess I'll do it tomorrow. It's my break is over, and then the crane is gone. And then what happens is, now that crane is gone, that thing that helped you dig that hole so fast that you had to do something, you did it so fast, you're able to, it's not a crane, the digging machine. We know what it is. It made you do it so fast, the machine. But now, since that's gone, that's gone. And now you're stuck with a huge hole and you have to dig it with a little shovel. You have to dig a huge hole with just a little shovel. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this month as a huge blessing upon us. That He said, whatever you did, now you can change it. You did something wrong, now make it right. But we have to first be able to try and do it. We have to be able to realize our sins, realize that we did something wrong. The realization of doing something wrong, that is what keeps you on track. That's what puts you on the right path. If you don't do that, then we can't expect, the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask and you shall receive. Don't ask for forgiveness, you won't receive forgiveness. People are distracted by things, daily things around them, around their daily lives, the distraction all around us. You forget your duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You forget what's required upon you. You forget what He has told us to do. That goal becomes blurry to you. Something that was so clear when you were 2 years old, 3 years old. Something that was so clear becomes hard for you. Something that you could have known 5 years ago, now you forgot. Because you didn't do anything to prevent it. As we know, the people, they miss their prayers. The people who don't have that priority. One day you'll be reading one thing. One day you'll be doing something. Say you're playing basketball. Namaz time comes. You think, let me finish the game, then I'll play. Let me finish the game, then I'll read my namaz. You're putting namaz to the side. You wait for me, I'll read you eventually. And this is the thing with those people in the world who their lives are just about fun. Their lives are just about entertainment. Whatever they do, it's along that same goal, to entertain myself, to please my body. When you're hungry, you eat. When you're thirsty, you drink. And these are the things that ruins our chances of coming back because our body gets control over us. Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he was struck by Ibn al-Muljam, what did he say? He said, by the Lord of the Kaaba, I have succeeded. What did he mean? Imam Ali alayhi salam, did he mean succeed in battle? Of course. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he was a soldier of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was a lion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whenever there was a problem, he would always run and fix it. He was the strongest warrior. But the hardest battle he fought wasn't of the battlefield. The hardest battle he fought was the battle of his nafs, of controlling his desires, controlling his body. And a person like Imam Ali alayhi salam, who has no sins, he had a hard time controlling his nafs. What chance do we have? If we don't even try, we're not even close to that level. What chance do we have? There's many different ways that we are led off the wrong path. I remember I was at, I think it was Disneyland about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And at the end there's some fireworks. They have some fireworks. Disneyland, obviously there's some fireworks. And at the end, when the fireworks are playing, there's a lot of people. And then, it's Disney. So the music starts playing. The Disney music starts playing. And, what happens when people hear music start playing? People start to feel good. And they associate that good feeling with the music. Music with something is haram, of course. But they associate that feeling of feeling good with the music. They think, when I hear that, that's when I feel good. They don't associate it with prayer. They associate that when I hear something I'm not supposed to do, that's when I feel good. And we have to realize that just because something feels good doesn't mean it is good. We see the people who listen to music. Do they tell you that it's a punishment upon them? Do they tell you that they're forced to listen to music? Of course not. A lot of people, music is an enjoyment for them. But that's the thing. We can't always do just what pleases us. We have to have control. People run, they listen to music. They use it as their motivation. When you listen to music, you run, you feel stronger. You're like, yeah, right? So the best example is, inshallah, with these last 4 days of the month of Ramadan. Everything that we do, look at the example of the Ahlul Bayt. They are the best of examples. Look at the example of the Quran. And in order to fully make a difference, we have to start now. With 3-4 days remaining, the only thing that we can truly do is start now. The only thing we can do is get off of our high horse and realize that we're not perfect. We're far from it. We've committed a lot of sins. But unless we repent for it, we'll never be able to truly get out of there. That's all the time we have left for today. Thank you for everyone who participated in our program. Now we're going to do Allahumma kulli walika for the safe and protection of our 12th Imam, and inshallah we are all helpers of our 12th Imam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma kulli waliyaka al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala abai fi hadhihi as-sa'a وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وجل فرج. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Khuda hafiz.